to the castle look on the hill, which is all part of the law, administration, justice system of the castle now. It's not open to the public.
Well, here we are, Loch Ness. There's that craft there. Looks like a pleasure boat making its way down there. I don't know what they're up to. They've just raced down and suddenly come to a grinding halt. Must be some kind of sightseeing speedboat. Virtually no commercial activity along the Caledonian Canal these days. It's all a tourist and maybe a bit of fishing, that sort of thing. Oh, there you go. But look at them disappear into the vastness of this. Here we are at the deepest part of Loch Ness. Over 700 feet deep here. And it's the area where the Loch Ness monster has been sighted. Another craft on the water. I think that's the craft that we saw earlier. We overtook it. But certainly most of the sightings have been in this area as the loch makes its way down through the Great Glen. I've got a still photograph coming up of Urquhart Castle because I think that's probably the best way to show it to you. It's a lovely morning. Sorry for the wind noise, but the sun is shining in just the wrong damn angle. So there we go, more wind. But Urquhart Castle will have to be on us still. There are records of St Columba in the 6th century making the journey from his Isle of Iona right through the Great Glen to visit Bridie, King of the Picts, at his place in Inverness. On the way, he's reported to have stopped here at what is now Drumnadrochit, at what is now Urquhart Castle, and it's rumoured that he encountered a monster in the loch, but that's as far as that goes at the moment. So we know that from that time at least there was certainly a settlement here, and the chances are there was a Pictish fortification right the way up until probably the 1200s or so, when Edward I came and started taking things in Scotland. And of course the Scots were struggling for independence right the way from 1300 onwards, but it came under control of the English in probably the beginning of the 14th century. But anyway, the MacDonalds and the Lords of the Isles came to prominence in the later centuries, and they just kept going back and forth, and the castle passed between the Crown and the Clan several times over a couple of centuries. The Lords of the Isles in the 16th century finally took control of the castle until we had the struggles which culminated in Bonnie Prince Charlie fleeing, and you know the majority of the story there. So Urquhart Castle once again was in command of the English, who kept it as a garrison post until probably the end of the 17th century, maybe 1692, 1688, something like that. And anyway, when the last English soldiers marched out of the castle, they blew it up, and the ruins are what you see here today. Unfortunately, the only way I could photograph it was to take the 2 shots that I have, because it's now somewhere where you have to pay to go in and where you can take the best photographs. So as you'll see from the very last picture in this sequence, we had to park the coach somewhere where we could all get a shot of it for nothing before we turned around and headed back up to Inverness, and that's where I'm going to take you now. Well, oh, there's that word again. Maybe I'll edit that out. I'm standing alongside the River Ness in Inverness, capital of the Highlands, gateway to what you might call the far north. And if you wonder why the sound level's gone down now, I waited until that fire engine had gone by. The Caledonian Canal takes a separate route into the, I think they call it the early Forth. Loch Ness turns into the River Ness, which flows through here and takes a separate course altogether out to the early Forth, and then all goes underneath the Kessock Bridge and into the Moray Forth. And some really interesting old buildings here, lots of different types of church, and we see the Highlands in the distance, and that suspension bridge there, which is where I should be filming from next. I do apologise about the wind. It would get up after the wind muffs have fallen off. You might be able to this bouncing up and down is not due to me for a change. I'm on a suspension bridge in the middle of the River Ness in Inverness, and as soon as people walk on it, it starts to shake like anything. I'm looking down now towards Inverness Castle, which is not as old as you may think, and dates back to about 1835, and it's now a judicial and administrative centre. Now we'll have a look at the other side of the bridge, see what we can see there. Well, here we have an interesting old church, now in use as a funeral parlour. I'm going to have to do a fair bit of voiceovers in this video, I'm afraid, because the wind noise and the traffic noise was just too much. So forgive me if you're hearing too much of my voice, but we're just zooming in now, looking towards, I suppose, what the Scots would call the real north, to quote from Game of Thrones. And I'm an idiot. It's not the early Firth, it's the Bewley Firth, as opposed to, I think I said early Forth, didn't I? And they flow out into the Moray Firth. Just get that straight before we go any further. When you're filming on location and you're doing one shot and that's it, you can make some howlers, can't you? But here's the end of the suspension bridge. Quite intricate designs either end, and there's another church, quite a few churches in this road. But, anyhow, let's get off this bridge, I'm getting seasick. The sign there says the Free Church of Scotland, and then it says on the other side Free North Church. Interesting, because this is the beginning of the real North, of course, but nothing to do with Game of Thrones. Look in there at the old telephone exchange. dating back to 1949. I guess this must have been one of the early buildings as the telecommunication systems in England and Scotland began to reform and be modernised after the Second World War. Quite an austere looking building, but in its day I suppose it was quite state of the art. Wee Highland Deli and an awful lot of traffic. Oh yeah. Really, honestly, I suppose too much traffic to film with. What an interesting pub here. Black Forest with the sign there. Some very interesting buildings. But to be honest, my normal kind of walkumentary is impossible here. So we'll just take a look at those buildings over the road. You notice the intricate designs at the top there, some murals. There's another one. The Rough Street, excuse me, Boundary and Engineering Company. There we are. And another church on the corner, complete with sightseeing bus. There you go. And I couldn't ignore the bus station, of course, especially with its location. Look at this, in front of a very ornate public library. Surprisingly frequent services to many places here. Now that is something I did not expect to find here. Interesting. Sorry.
Hi, do you know which side goes to Thurso?
Thursday would be this side.
It would be this
Yeah.
side.
Yeah. I don't live here, but I know that.
I think, do you know where the ticket office is?
I've never been here before.
No, no.
But the
obvious, does it? I assume it's that way.
It'll be round that side, yeah.
Yeah.
In the station building somewhere.
I think that's where we've got to meeting some people here.
Yeah, I would say just follow this round until you see, because the old station buildings are around the side there. So,
Thank you.
that's all right. I'm leaving this as an example of how not to film. I'd put the camera down because I didn't want the lady to feel I was actually filming her, and forgot to put it back up again. But the interesting thing is, I sent her down logically down the side towards the main station building, but apparently it's all shut off down there. She had to walk all the way back, and we got to go almost to the end of the Thurso platforms to get on the station from this side. Weird.
That way.
I think he's trying to send you somewhere else. I can't hear him. I suppose he's now sending you all the way out there.
the way down the bottom.
Okay. Oh, down there. That's a bit strange. The entrance is down there apparently. Yeah. He said follow the lady with suitcases.
And these are the Wick and Thurso platforms, with the Thurso train there, right in front of us.
Well, I got permission to film the departure of this HST, but I've got to wear a mask, so the sound from me will be a bit restricted, but this is sound you don't hear leaving Paddington anymore. But ScotRail have got several of these units. They're made into 6-car for their intercity services. And I thought this one might be going to Aberdeen. In actual fact, it's going to be departing for Edinburgh very shortly, and I've got to record the sound of its departure. I think the train to Aberdeen goes just before this one, or just after. It's only got 2 carriages in it. It's funny, they all go this way, over this side of the triangle. I've already showed you the far north side. They both go out of here in the same direction, but just a little bit further along, the Aviemore and Edinburgh line suddenly veers off to the left and goes down underneath the Aberdeen line and down to the south. And the Aberdeen line continues straight on. There's a fair amount of statutory brake testing going on here. It's a shame that they're just a little bit grubby. But you'll see the nice designs on the side of the carriages. There goes the Aberdeen service. That's the 2-car class 158. It goes past the depot that's in the middle of the triangle. And there goes the 1249 service to Aberdeen.
Stupid boy. Of course I meant Edinburgh.
Unfortunately, you don't get the real benefit of the sound of the engines and that. But there's still places in this country where you can see an HST.
And the third part of the triangle, which I couldn't get to film, is a single line that links the Aberdeen and Thurso line.
There's a statue of Gordon the cartoon here. And I should imagine this was once quite an elaborate set of buildings, but somewhere along the line somebody put that carbuncle in the middle. And here we are boarded by the Royal Highland Hotel. Very grand building. That bit, yuck.
Yeah. Well, I think I got away with not having to take too much wind noise out, and on this one I've reduced it to hopefully an acceptable level, so you'll appreciate how windy it got just in the course of a couple of hours. But I wanted to show you this. Rather unusual. I don't think it's a wind vane as such. There appears to be no means of it moving at the top there, but look at it. The way it shines, I thought it might be gold, but surely not. What could I say? If it is, what must it be worth with all that weight? Anyway, we're back down here by the river. We're waiting for Jerry to come back with the coach to take us back to the hotel at Strathpeffer, where, as it's my last night, I'll probably record a few thoughts before starting back south tomorrow with a bit of a heavy heart. It's been a lovely time. I do wish the outside of this window was a bit cleaner. I do apologise for that. Well, last night here in Strathpeffer, and I thought I'd once again film and show you the mist is moving very quickly across the top of the mountain there. You can't actually see the top of the mountain because of the mist moving. It's blocking off the very top of the Munro. I'm trying to get it in focus, damn thing. There. Just rolling across. Anyway, I want to illustrate once more by comparison to Eastbourne in the south of England. Let's come to one side, maybe a bit of a cleaner window. The time is now 9:45 at night. It is broad daylight and will be light enough to read a newspaper for about another hour or so, if not a bit more. I should imagine back on the south coast it's now dark. It's nice to have these long days, but I know they do suffer from it in winter. I would have liked to go up the road and record a bit more of Strathpeffer, particularly some of the wood carvings up there, but they're doing roadworks and that, and everything up there that I wanted to go and photograph, it's all sealed off and closed off to the public while they do these works. It's a bit of a nuisance, so once again I'm sorry for that. Oh, so I'm looking at a bird over in the trees there, a couple of birds, so they're not house martins. I don't think they're gulls either, they almost look like owls. Anyhow, that's the wonder of being up here. I mean, we've seen golden eagles, I said buzzards, house martins, swallows. And I even thought we saw an osprey. It's been a very, very enjoyable holiday. But every good thing has to come to an end, and mine ends tonight, and tomorrow we start making our way back south. We are stopping for lunch in Galashiels. I may be able to get some filming done there. Harrogate is just an overnight stop, so I don't think there'll be anything much in the way of filming there. And we'll see if there's anything else interesting on the way back. So with that, I'll bid you good night.